Hi, everyone. Thrilled to be here. Just by a quick background, I'm the founder at Elsa. Elsa is a crypto AI co-pilot. We started it at ETH Denver last year, where I met my co-founder. Previously, we were building a Frontier wallet together. And throughout, like, say, the 5 years, say from 2020 until now, we've seen the power of DeFi into the hands of users. We've seen how it's facilitated the self-custodial model, censorship-resistant assets, and so on. However, we've also, I'm sure each one of us has interacted with, several chains, wallets, dApps, and it's the same problem over and over again. Crypto isn't accessible. If it is, it's complicated. Millions of people want to participate, but they're not able to do so since, there are like overwhelming challenges around wallets, seed phrases, bridges, and gas fees. Not just a theoretical problem, but each one of us has sort of dealt with it while helping your friends and family get started in crypto. The same question that exists every single time, why is it so hard? And that's where we started building Elsa, where we can abstract away all the traditional complexities of crypto and aid it with AI, making it easier for newer users to get on board. Starting off with, so what Elsa aims for is that, how can we enable DeFi with confidence, not confusion? Around 12 to 15% of our users are new to crypto users, and their usual prompts that they get started with is, how can I onboard myself with 100 USDC? Create a portfolio of sorts and see how we can get that through. And Elsa will build a large diversified portfolio set with, like, say, 100 USDC or 300 as the use case may be. A more advanced user may potentially try out a prompt that says, I've got 500 USDC, can I go long on ETH with 5x leverage on Hyperliquid? Elsa will automatically route the transaction, have inbuilt guardrails that will ensure that the user is fully aware of the risk management tools that he can take advantage of. While building Elsa, we faced several challenges aligning so many moving pieces. Communicating user intents to solvers reliably and quickly. Latency is a huge factor, and users want quicker outcomes. Managing risk is just as important. If you're starting a levered position, you don't want to get liquidated, especially if you're just getting onboarded. And through this journey, we understood that there are, say, about 300 tokens are traded about 96% of the time. How can we sort of create cash token databases and save it on-chain? The system that we've built so far includes several agents working in cohesion to solve user intents. The first one is the user profile agent. The moment you connect your MetaMask, Rabby, or Phantom wallet, Elsa will quickly parse through all of your transaction history, create a profile, find out how risk-averse you are, and accordingly make suggestions there. Then we have the chain analyzer agent. This is Elsa's eyes and ears. So it constantly monitors blockchain activity, price feeds, detects anomalies, helps you liquidate positions, book profit, or even liquidate them when you're in a loss. The intent agent is Elsa's brain for execution. So it converts natural language into on-chain tool calls as well, understands the intent, finds the best route. They're closer to about 30 solvers as a part of Elsa, and it will find the most efficient way of getting that done. So on and so forth. And then we also have the risk management agent that I previously spoke about. So when all of these layers work together, users experience effortless DeFi execution, but beneath this lies an incredibly sophisticated ecosystem. I'll just quickly share our Dune dashboard. So as you would notice, we've processed 230 million in transaction volume. Our daily average over the last week has been closer to about 4 million a day. This is, stake, swap, lend, borrow, and bridge volume. Our DAUs are averaging, say, anywhere between 10 to 15,000 on an average. And on a daily basis, we are processing transactions which are around like 37,000 or so, like give or take. So this is our current user history. ELSA's architecture relies on keeping, say, conversation records of all inputs, outputs, the prompt inputs, the AI outputs, the solver logic, the cache token DB, as well as transaction outcomes. This is where Filecoin's on-chain cloud, live on test, and I wanted to show a live demo, but I wasn't able to get it all done in a short span of time. Shows exciting potential for the future of like decentralized storage. Filecoin on-chain cloud demonstrates how we can have not only decentralized but even tamper-proof storage and record key AI and transaction data directly on chain. This allows for deeper analysis within say ELSA, wherein every interaction with our say currently internal agents that I spoke about and the external ERC 8004 agents that we are now also going to bring in, and their inputs and outputs can be verifiable, traceable, allowing ELSA users to be to trust a platform like ELSA a lot more than what they would have traditionally. The significant challenge that we faced is that LLMs are non-deterministic and they often hallucinate. Although we have a multi-model LLM structure that sort of that we've been able to fine-tune with the last 1 year of prompt data, it's still important to note that determinism does not ensure accuracy is 100% all the time. Our current LLM structure does not produce consistent outputs with the same inputs because the liquidity on chain varies. Sometimes there's latency, RPCs don't respond accurately or in time. And sometimes, solvers have their own challenges around with, say, an increased amount of transaction volume. So this underscores the value of having immutable, auditable records, allowing us to map out previous transaction data, with the outcome that was there and how much of a slippage a user did face. This data persistence is critical for future analysis, auditing, and building shared knowledge across other dApps and protocols. Over time, what we aim to achieve is anonymized insights, yield strategies or user behavior aggregates. This could become open data sets available to the entire ecosystem, fostering say collab and deeper dives, amongst not just developers, but even researchers at large. The existing Filecoin's decentralized network already ensures say redundancy, durability, and availability by distributing data across independent providers, a model resistant to censorship and outages. As on-chain cloud matures, the same principles will extend to the data that we already have, making this reliable and transparent. The vision is clear: a permanent open ledger of AI interactions that not only stores data, but preserves the reasoning and decision-making of agents, both internal to ELSA as well as external. What we aim to achieve with this is to form the backbone of decentralized, autonomous, open intelligence in Web3. Open to thoughts and ideas. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Coming. Okay. Got it, Millie.
And sorry if I missed this. So, is all of that data being stored on Filecoin today?
Not as of now.
Okay, but you're going to be attempting to use Filecoin on Chain Cloud to
yeah, once it's on mainnet, we should be able to do that.
And where is that data getting stored today?
So centralized service providers.
Okay, S3 or something of that nature?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it. But your hope is to, you'll basically store a CID on chain referencing all of the data that's on Filecoin for a given one of your prompts that you handled?
Correct. Definitely. So I think with FileChain on-chain cloud, we see a lot of benefits which are currently not available. Data is still siloed and we cannot control it right now. So let's say if you have a dApp builder that wants to assess how much transaction volume flowed to them and how much transaction volume they lost. Currently, we cannot do that because we have to sort of give them access to the entire data set that we have, which is not ideal. And hence, that's something that we want to fix with, FileChain on-chain cloud.
Got it. So in addition to being on mainnet and making sure it's reliable and everything there, do you also need access control on the data that gets stored in Filecoin?
Yes.
Before you would use it? Okay, so those are like your two preconditions before you're unlocked here.
Yeah, so that can like probably happen like later on, so it's not an immediate need right now. Yeah. But that is something that we would like, either like we have like say an existing module that supports it, or like we build one ourselves.
Okay. Cool, this is an exciting use case. I like it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
So, kind of two questions. In terms of the ACL, do you have any idea how that would look like from your side, or what would you need from Filecoin to support? Is it enough to just do encryption, simple encryption, or not?
No, we would definitely need to like have like say encryption. Okay, so that like let's say if there are like too many access points, then that would probably make it like harder with the latency for like retrieving it on both ends as well. But that's again something that we haven't pushed it out on testnet yet. So some of it like we'll only know once once we have like at least like part of the data there and see how we can query it further.
Right. My question is more like if the basic encryption is enough for your use case, because if you do just the basic encryption, the ACL is just like that specific entity has access to it. If you need like, oh, I need this group to have access to it, or inside this group, someone can read a subset of the data, and the other group can read the rest of the data. For that, it would need something else, something more than just the basic encryption. That's what I'm asking you. If the basic is enough for your use case, you just have one entity that wants to have data not public, or if you need your use case is more complex than that.
So let's say the general anonymized data can have basic encryption, but then there is also user data which is tied to the user's wallet that's there. So we do want to sort of have a more sophisticated encryption technique, unless the user sort of specifically triggers, or like say has a complaint or feedback, only then we should be able to access that particular user data there. Also, like users are like increasingly wary of, seeing what sort of data we are collecting. So we'll also have to somewhere, have a privacy policy that ensures that users feel more comfortable when they're interacting with ELSA. Okay. Bear in mind that there are already like 12 to 15K DAUs. So a lot of data that's already getting processed there. So we see this transition happening, over like say multiple phases. And we would only want to sort of do that in a way wherein we are like fully confident of, how we're able to query that data as well.
So the other question is, in terms of, you talk about the audit trails and being verifiable. I would like to kind of drill in a little bit on that. What do you actually need? You just need to have a CID for the data, be verifiable on the Filecoin blockchain, or you need something else? And also, how do you bridge stuff you do on Base into Filecoin?
Yeah, so say from an auditing standpoint, like we have the user input, which could be anything DeFi related. And then we have, say, the solver network that we're sort of querying for like, say, quotes for certain tokens and so on. And then there's finally the output. So this is like a very valuable sequence, particularly for solvers and also for us internally at ELSA. So this is the data that we sort of want to eventually make it like auditable, like make that like even like say publicly available, not on Dune, but maybe there's some other platform that could enable it.
Yeah, but my question is different. So Why do you need a blockchain then? Just a CID would be enough, right? Because that guarantees integrity and immutability. Why do you need a blockchain, right? The Filecoin blockchain. You see what I mean? If you only need to have an audit trail and you need to guarantee integrity and immutability of the stuff that you stored or saved somewhere, why do you need the Filecoin blockchain? You can just get that by hashing the data and putting...
Yeah, so we already have a centralized system that currently exists, right? But then that's like purely like internal to us. There's currently like, we haven't found any way to make that available to a larger audience. And eventually we see like, say, as a part of like ELSA's roadmap, we'll have a lot more agents that will be developed by others that will be brought on board. We already have like dApps which are doing that right now. So for them, you know, whenever there is a data request, okay, it sort of has to like go through us, and we need to have, say, someone that is like explicitly, you know, working on those data sets and producing like, say, some results for them that can help them like move to the next level. We somewhere feel that, let's say, if this were on the blockchain, then a lot of it could be automated and publicly viewable. Let's say like going forward in the future, okay, if you are like, say, an agent dev, and you want to know, like, let's say, what are some of the strongest use cases coming up from ELSA's users, okay, currently we have no way of sharing that with you. Like, unless you know me personally and I pull up our internal Redash, won't be able to share that.
Yeah.
But with this, you know, we can make a publicly viewable dashboard so that like every developer has access to the same information then, and reduce like people dependency as well.
Yeah, got it, cool. So what about the bridging? So let's say your system, I saw like Base and some other chains in there. What kind of connection do you need from Base to Filecoin EVM? What do you need there in terms of like bridging and smart contracts? What do you need there? Or is it just enough for them to be separate? Or do you need the connection?
It'll just be like separate for now, and then like gradually, like maybe over say a couple of years, okay, like say parts of it could be moved. But you know, we're still like, because this is on testnet and we haven't been able to build something like, you know, in like say the last 10 days, you know, so that's why, you know, I cannot give you like an exact pinpointed response to it. But like once, like say Filecoin on-chain cloud is on like mainnet, and then once we start seeing that, okay, you know, this is like say the easiest low-hanging fruit where some of the data could move. And then gradually we start like looking at like say EVM specific data as well.
Cool. Thank you.
So my question is around the agent sequence diagram that you showed. Just before the execution layer, you had like a risk analysis agent, risk AI layer. So very curious to know, how does that work once the intent gets finalized? Like what's like the risk that you measure in that layer?
Yeah, so there are like inbuilt default guardrails. Okay, so say for example, if you've never, you know, perp traded, okay, so, you know, sharing like say highly levered positions, okay, would be, you know, may not be the best options for you. So what ELSA does is have like say not allow for like more than 2x leverage, and also have like say preset stop loss take profit levels. Okay, so at least till you're getting your feet wet, okay, you try with like say limited amount of leverage. But let's take on the flip side, you have like a highly sophisticated trader that's only trading on Hyperliquid and now wants to see what they can do on ELSA. They should also be able to like say copy trade some of the more successful traders out there and emulate those positions without having those guardrails, considering the previous transaction history.
Got it. Well, that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.